today we're going to be talking about piloting career exploration and career development experiences, different resources and insights from Illinois communities who are really engaging in developing a new career development experience or a new career exploration experience, and also enhancing those and what they currently have. And so we'll talk more about that here today. Welcome. Would love to know who's here. So please go ahead if you want to write your name, title, organization in the chat. If you have any particular questions about career exploration or career development experiences, this will just help our presenters to know who's in the room, maybe even to kind of cater to what they're sharing as well, based on the roles and organizations who are here. But we are recording this. The presentation is going to be shared out. I'll actually go ahead and put a link in the chat here for you all in a moment. But always in Zoom, some fun logistic pieces about please making sure you're muting your computers, and if you're on your phone too, if you're not sharing with the group. But as we have these presentations, very much feel free after each one, we'll have Q&A to unmute yourself or use the chat, but all throughout the presentation as well, if you have comments or questions, if what somebody's sharing kind of stirs up another resource or best practice you all have, would also love to hear that as well, right? So our presenters have a lot of expertise and experience, but you all do a lot too, and would love to know about it. So what we're going to be covering here for today's session, these pilots are spurred from a grant opportunity through the Illinois State Board of Education. And so we have Karen here from ISBE, who's going to be giving an overview of that. But then we have two pilot communities. So Elm Middle School is going to be sharing about what they're doing for their career exploration. And then Northern Kane County, their regional vocational system, will share about what they're doing for their career development experiences. We may or may not get to it at the end. I want to leave the time to communities, but do have a slide here at the end of the presentation, which again, I'll link momentarily, that just shouts out the Illinois Work-Based Learning Innovation Network, which has a lot of recordings, resources, templates, state frameworks, all kinds of pieces for you. And I'm Heather Penzak. I'm the Director of Innovation and Implementation out of Education Systems Center at NIU, one of the organizers here for the conference. And so supporting this pilot opportunity through communities of practice that Karen will speak to from ISBE, and also lead that Illinois Work-Based Learning Innovation Network, or IWIN, that you'll see linked here at the end of the presentation. If we don't get to it, very much encourage you to go check it out and see all the different resources that are there. But just to set some context, before I turn it over here to our presenters, when we're talking about career exploration and we're talking about career development experiences, they fall along this continuum that Illinois has defined. Out of the Illinois Career Pathways Dictionary, I'll show you two here in a moment. We have definitions for these experiences. So as you're hearing from the presenters, and we're going to follow this continuum. So our career exploration pilot will talk first, and then our career development experience, right? All these engagements, all these work-based learning experiences have that increasing intensity of employer engagement, but they also just have an increasing intensity of that student involvement in them, right? And really getting hands-on. And so how these experiences build them along that continuum and support them to keep problematizing their career interest areas, their skills, their passions, their likes, their dislikes. Finding out they don't like something is also a value add of doing work-based learning. So just kind of flagging that here for you all. And then when you think about career exploration, again, it's going to be linked here in the presentation if you want to look at the full dictionary, but you're really thinking about this opportunity where young people or individuals really are engaging directly with employers. So they're no longer watching a video or kind of being passive or taking a survey, but they're really engaging, right? And they're learning about one or more industry sectors or occupations. And this can take on a variety of forms. It's just if it has these kind of core component quality pieces to it. Same thing with career development experiences. For many of you, this is a word you know. For some of you, it might be a new word, but it really is just kind of this broad term that can encompass, again, a variety of experiences like internships, supervised agricultural experiences. It just does that experience meet these kind of 6 core components of quality, right? Again, really thinking through a student is very much engaged in their career interest area. They're performing work potentially for another employer while also getting that skill development. So making sure that these pieces are in there. I would call it, I think, kind of the components that a lot of communities have to think about when they're implementing a CDE or career development experience is number 3, where you have that compensation or educational credit going to the participant, or number 6, where it's taking place for a minimum of 60 total hours. A lot of you all, if you're doing internships or similar type experiences, you're addressing a lot of these components. It's that 3 and 6 that I think sometimes needs that adjustment or tweak within your design to then qualify as a career development experience. But with that, I'm going to turn it over here to Karen, who's just going to provide an overview and kind of some background on that ISBE pilot grant.
Thanks, Heather. Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Lockhart, and I am from the ISBE CTE team. We released about $1.5 million in May of 2021 for projects to begin in summer of 21, going through the school year 22. This was offered through the Education for Employment System directors for up to 5 schools within their regions that were at or below 70% evidence-based funding. So these would be schools that maybe had not had some of the resources that other districts have had. So we ended up with 173 school districts in Illinois participating, which is really exciting because they're, you know, while they all were lower resource schools, some of them were in different places. So some of them were getting access to very basic projects, while others were really getting very specific into targeted programs. But as Heather mentioned, it was intended to develop and improve work-based learning opportunities. And then the end game of this project is to identify and expand work-based learning resources so that they can be shared publicly to educators in Illinois with at no cost to the educators. We've been doing our communities of practice that we talked about. So there's been some really neat things coming up that I'm looking forward to hearing from today. One of the things that we asked when we were coming out with this, besides, what's missing is, did COVID change our needs of resources? So for instance, some districts were looking at, will I need virtual job placements, or, what has changed because students weren't able to get out onto sites like they were able to. So our target for release of all this resource bank is in June, and it'll be available to all districts, whether they participate or not. So I'm just really excited to hear about all the cool things that are going on out there. Do you want me to talk about this part, Heather?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so our communities of practice have been meeting every other month. And we've been kind of highlighting what different districts are doing. It's been very cool for me to see because I've been more on the grant management side, where Heather's kind of the expert on the, how to make this happen. So to see it in written form on a grant application and then hear what's really happening out there has really been cool. This is just our timeline of how things have been going. So we are scheduling in April this showcase for EFEs to all come together and talk about where they're at with their projects. Obviously we haven't heard from every district yet, so that will be kind of everyone's chance to show off. We'll get a better feel for what kinds of gaps we've found in the resources, what kinds of common themes are going on, common challenges. So I'm hoping that a lot of people will attend to that final showcase then.
Karen. And so we're going to turn here actually to some of our communities, right, who have presented at these communities of practice. And again, that showcase, really excited for that. We're going to extend that outside of pilot communities, as Karen mentioned. So IWIN, that Illinois Work-Based Learning Network, would be a great place for you all to sign up to, because it's definitely going to be pushed out to that community in order to attend, but just really excited to see everyone goes with their pilots. And it's wild. We're already kind of wrapping up the year of communities of practice too, where a year goes, right? But I'm going to turn it here. I'm going to start with our career exploration pilot with Elm Middle School. But again, these are 2 communities who have presented the community of practice and have really been some of the leaders in this work for the pilots. And so looking forward to you all learning from them today.
Great. Thank you, Heather. And thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Leah Gauthier. I'm the Superintendent of Schools in Elmwood Park Community Unit School District 401. I have with me today Dr. Kim Ontiveros, our Director for Curriculum and Instruction, and Miss Ashley Groeneveld, our Elm Middle School Principal. Elmwood Park School District is located just outside the city of Chicago. We are kind of unique in the fact that in this area, we are a pre-K through 12th grade school district. And so we're going to talk today about how we have expanded our college and career pathways to our middle school. We've had the support at our high school level, but starting a couple of years ago, we started to kind of introduce this idea. And with the support of the grant, we're able to kind of bring some of it to life. So we're kind of sharing, and as I've said to Heather throughout this whole year, we're a work in progress, and we are learning as we go. We're learning from the kids, we're learning from our needs in our community. And so anything that we're sharing with you today, we're living it right now. And so we are making changes as we're learning from these communities of practice as well. So it's been really exciting, and to have additional funding to help us along the way has been great. And I know Ashley will talk about it a little bit later, but being in kind of a more virtual environment has presented some unique opportunities for us. And so that's been kind of nice. And so Ashley will share more about that as we kind of get going. So Kim, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. So what was the Pathway Initiative? So basically, through our pathway exploration, we wanted to make sure that we aligned programs of studies that are experience-based for kids, provide many opportunities for them to graduate with well-developed skills. The one great thing about the middle school is that we can offer many classes, and our teachers do not have to be certified in that. So whatever the kid's interest is what we can offer the kids. The idea is that all of these classes that we offer at the middle school feed into what they're going to go into the 16 career pathways at the high school. We want to make sure that the kids who leave District 401 have a diverse set of skills suited for them, whether academic or career exploration. We want to make sure that they're well developed and they kind of know what their interest is going to be once they leave us in high school. I'm going to kick it over to Ms. G, who's going to talk about what is that pathway.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here with us today. So our College and Career Pathway program in Elmwood Park is very unique, and we are very excited about it. It starts with our 5th grade students, and they take career interest surveys every fall. And then from there, we are able to design those courses. And Dr. O is going to talk a little bit about our process a little bit later. But the really awesome thing is that our guidance counselor is going and talking to our 5th grade students about these opportunities. And so we have 9 courses that we'll be running starting next year. And our students are given the opportunity to explore in these 9 areas of the 16 career clusters, and they are kind of umbrellaed into many of the career clusters. Those courses. I'm sorry, my bell's going off here. And then the awesome thing about all of our courses is they are pass-fail, so very low stakes, but they lead to an opportunity at the high school where students can receive credit for a full semester or year-long course, or eventually lead to obtaining college credit when they go into an extended opportunity at the high school.
Okay, so what does our program look like? So from the very beginning, we give students interest surveys. Ms. G just talked about how we do that with our 5th graders, but we also do it with all of our middle school kids. We give them a survey to see what their interests are for programming. Once we gather that information, it gives us a good idea of what career studies we can run based on survey results. I have to tell you that some of the best classes kids consistently take right now, psychology is a huge one. Game design is another one. And if you couldn't guess it, but hospitality and the health is a huge one right now. I think there's a reason for that. And so we're making sure that when we look at these interest surveys that we can offer as many of these classes as we can, so students can kind of dip their toes in it. Later on at the end of the presentation, you'll see this really cool video. I guarantee you hear psychology and game design multiple times. Students take part once we get the classes that we're going to run, then we allow them to pick which course they're going to take. Like Ms. G said, we were offering 7 courses. We are so lucky to be adding 2 additional ones next year. We are very excited about that. We always get new teachers to say, hey, can you run this class? Or hey, how can we combine this class to make sure it fits in with the cluster that's going to go to the high school? Teachers are very motivated. They do write the curriculum. We do develop time within the morning time for them to work on that together. Some of them are teaching multiple psychology classes so they can kind of team together to write that. it's a really great step in moving forward. So the kids can not only get that experience, but the teachers have that as well.
And we've talked about the 16 career clusters. So we want to make sure that the courses that we're offering are aligned with the 16 career clusters that are tied within our PACE framework. So as you see here, these are our 16 career clusters. And on the next slide, you'll see these are the courses that we offer. And so we had to start somewhere. So we started with the 7 courses, knowing that would give ourselves some time to develop the 2 additional courses. We run on trimesters at Elm Middle School. And so that way, when our 6th graders come in, they take 3 pass-fail courses at 6th grade all the way up through 8th grade. So they'll leave with 9 different offerings of that low stakes pass-fail, all tied to the 16 career clusters and based on, what are the students interested in? Maybe 4 years ago, we, kind of asked the question, why do we run the courses that we have at the high school? And we found out we run those different courses, those different electives, because our teachers can teach it, not because our students are necessarily interested in it. So we kind of flipped our thinking and we started really vetting, the courses we offer, are our kids even interested in those college or career pathways? And then realized we may not have all of the resources in our building for the different career opportunities that are out there, but being in the Chicagoland area, what resources do we have? We have community colleges that are located near us, and then as well as, a technology center. So how can we partner there, making sure that we have that continuous, connection between the middle school and the high school. We never want to offer a course at the middle school that can't be sustained throughout the high school. So we want to make sure our kids have that pathway to continue on.
Okay, so like Dr. G said prior, each course is 1 trimester long, so 12 weeks, and it is very low stakes. It is pass fail. So truly giving students the opportunity to take a risk in their learning, which is something we are so excited about, because it's not something that you can tell a kid, well, if you don't do well, it's going to reflect you negatively. That's not the case at all. So this is a true experience for our students to just dip their toes in the water in these opportunities to see if this is something that they want to continue to pursue. Dr. G and I were talking to a family and at our safety event, and the student said, I really didn't love that. And we were like, that's great, because now you don't love that, and that's not something that you want to pursue moving forward. So whether it is something that the kids love or it is something that the kids are not interested in, there is the goal of the program right there. It's for kids to be able to identify what they're interested in. And it's so cool that our students are now able to say, that's something I really like, or that's something I really don't. And it really is just helping them formulate, as our young learners are, to advocate for themselves for what they like. So really just a full encompass program. Like Dr. O said, we are going to be offering 9 courses starting in 22-23. So we will be adding architecture and health science. Dr. O and I had conversations last year during the pandemic. Do we add the courses this year? Do we not add the courses this year? We decided, let's take a deep breath. We have another year. And then we went ahead and added those. Like Dr. O said, health science, I wonder why. But then the last part of it is the thing that I'm the most excited about, is the opportunities we are providing for our students. And so this year, with the help of the grant, we were able to form a college and career pathway committee. So these are our teachers, and they work directly with us, our admin team, and Dr. O and Dr. G. And we are now providing experiences for our students. So in our psychology course, we've had a sports psychologist come and talk to our students. And I had a student come up to me and say, Miss G, did you realize that I could teach a professional baseball player how to throw a baseball better? And I'm like, yes, you can do that. We had a vet therapist come in and talk to our psychology course. We've had an art therapist come in. We've had a sociologist come in. We had a published author who is also an alumni of our school district come in and do some creative writing workshops with our students. And from that, a student actually created her own Etsy shop, learning how to write in the business, a business model from this experience. And now she has her own Etsy shop that she runs with her mom. So really, like, this program has taken it from, the baby stages to, we have students that are starting small businesses, which is so cool. Also, another thing that I am so grateful for, and I know our school is Dr. G and Dr. O advocated for our middle school to have a college and career counselor. So we have 8th graders now walking up to Ms. Garay, our counselor, saying, where can I get a work permit? I want to work this summer. And so she's helped navigate for some of our 8th graders. I think a lot of them are going to be working at the Park District. So I think I'm going to be spending some time near the Park District this summer, just to make sure everybody's following expectations. But just really excited that our students are now seeing that these are opportunities for them, and they're taking it and running with it. And now they're going to be contributing back to our community, which is something that we're so excited for. And last but not least, we're working with a company called Maker Girl, which is a Chicago homegrown business. And they're going to come in and work with our game design students. They're going to be doing some coding for 6 weeks, 6 weeks of opportunities for our students in game design courses. And then we are also doing a virtual experience with the Chopping Block, which is out of the Merchandise Mart. And they are going to be doing a virtual experience for our students for hospitality and tourism and business and entrepreneurship. And they're going to send all of this stuff to school and then virtually teach the kids how to prepare a snack, which is pretty cool. And then we're also working with some small businesses in our community. Our students are going to be running the entire front and back of house of a local restaurant. So they asked us, they were like, can we cook lunch for you? I was like, yes, absolutely. So we're going to be doing that too. And, you know, moving forward, I'm just so excited for all of the other opportunities with this College and Career Committee. Our teachers are so invested and our students are so invested and our community is so appreciative. So more to come, and we can't wait to see where it goes.
Thank you, Ms. G. Lots of exciting things going on with the students. And one of the things I continue to reflect on, and we've done this presentation 3 times now, I think, Dr. G and Ms. G. And one of the things I always say is that it would have been such an awesome experience for me in high school to try some of these things out, to be like, this is not going to work for me, or this is not. And so we want to make sure that every student that leaves us is prepared for the real life, right? Real world, whether it's going to be academic or career, and that either choice is a good choice for them. And that's one of the most important things. The middle school, like I said, we're dipping our toes in, we're giving those 9 classes. Once they get to the high school, we do a very similar process. Even though they are going into the 16 career clusters, we make sure that we survey the kids just like we do in the middle school. They actually both use the same kind of survey just to make sure what the students' interests are for that year. A lot of the interests at the high school have stayed pretty consistent. There were a few courses here and there that may have changed, but you know, we would examine that. Dr. G talked about the local community college and technology of DuPage, where the kids can eventually go to get additional work career. We want to make sure that when we are offering these classes, we do have to make sure that the teachers are certified in that area. So we are very thoughtful when we are looking at these things and then what we are offering to the students. We've offered some really great things at the high school as well. We want to make sure the exposure and the experience, especially if they're going to get extra credit, is in the vocational training and opportunities based on their interest. Like Dr. G said, we continuously do that because we want to make sure it's the interest of our students that drives us for our programming.
So we're here sharing, you know, what we think has been working, what's been working for us. But you know, the people that really tell us how it is a middle schooler. So Heather, if you wouldn't mind just sharing this video that we've kind of put together just to kind of highlight the work that's been done this year.
I'm Sam Barbaro, and I'm talking about my experience in the entrepreneurship CSI. First, it was a great experience, and I learned how to be an entrepreneur, and it was awesome. Not only that, but I also learned about what it takes to become one. I thank my principals for the opportunity, Ms. G, Ms. Buick, and Mr. Goodman, and I can't wait for more CSIs to come.
Hi, my name is Jairus, and the CSI course that I took was psychology. It was a pretty fun experience. We learned a lot about how your mind works and about abstract ideas about consciousness. The favorite thing that we did for me was forensic psychology. We learned about how psychology shows up in your day-to-day life, and I really enjoyed the experience. We did experiments on ourselves that helped us learn what was actually going on.
My name is Lisa Berkery, and I teach 8th grade psychology at Elm Middle School. This is my 2nd year teaching psychology, and I really feel that the students are benefiting greatly. It has opened up, not only have they learned more about their own ways of thinking and learned about their brain and how it works, but they are also applying these skills to their everyday life and their relationships with their peers, their family, and the community.
Hi, my name is Isabella Weiss, and I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite CSI classes, game design. This is one of my favorite CSI classes because it involves a lot of creativity and we had to problem solve a lot. I also really enjoyed this class because our teacher was very supportive and helped us and encouraged us to problem solve by ourselves.
Hi, my name is Tracy Reppin and I teach sociology for the career study program here at Elm. Students for their end of the year project or end of the trimester project get to research different types of careers in sociology. It's amazing how you can relate sociology to being a lawyer, to being a banker, to being anything in the world.
Hi, my name is Beanie and I'm talking to you about my current CSI class. I'm taking psychology, which is a very interesting class because we're learning about the human mind and human behaviors. We're learning about the different fields in psychology, and on Friday we watch a show that's all about the adolescent mind and why we make the decisions that we do.
Hi, my name is Fatima Safdari, and in my last CSI class, Hospitality and Tourism, I learned about how to manage a hotel, and it was a really fun experience. I just want to thank my administrators for this really amazing opportunity.
Hi, I'm Ashley Groeneveld, and I am the principal at Elm Middle School. We are so excited to be able to have this College and Career Pathways program here at Elm for our students to provide them with additional opportunities outside of their regular coursework. We hope you enjoyed watching this video, and we can't wait to see where this program goes in the future.
Thank you, Heather. And as we said, we're in the midst of this. We're still working through this. On our last slide, we have our emails there. If you have, questions or, different things that you want to reach out. When we started on this journey, we were looking for, who's doing this at the middle school level, and there wasn't a lot of people. So, we're here. You want to pick our brains, but just know that, we're in this, we're on this journey right now. So we're learning as we go too. So just want to say thank you.
Thank you all. We can pause here. I know I see a question in the chat about the parent reaction, but I can stop share for a moment if we have questions. And one of my favorite parts seeing that video is always a student who is like, we explored abstract ideas of consciousness. I'm like, what? I love that. I love that. But we'll open it up here. I know, again, there's a question from Neil about how parent reaction comes into the work, but if there's any other questions as well, put them in the chat or please feel free to share them out loud.
I guess maybe I'm confused by your question. I'm not sure what parent reaction or how do the parents support us, or is that what you're asking?
Yes, I was asking, how do the parents support this? Because this is something that, parents can be your greatest asset or your worst enemy. So, I would just kind of like a comment about how they're receiving all this.
Yeah, so Dr. G, Dr. I'll take this one. Obviously with every school district, communication is our, one of our main goals. And so making sure that we are clearly communicating, everything in all of our plans was very important when we started this, and really explaining to all of our stakeholders the benefits for our students that these would hold. I also, think that, as a parent, you see, well, they're able to experience this in middle school and that will lead to a full opportunity at the high school. So it's that continuum of service that we're providing. Additionally, we are, working with our students to give back to their own community. And so, we're working with small businesses in our communities. We're working with entrepreneurs in our community, with, various different leaders in our community. And so all of it really does encompass Elmwood Park. And so, with us being able to really make that, something that is a priority, that we are, committed to our community and helping our students grow our community, our parents have been very receptive. We are very clear though, when we are going through this during our course selection process, that the courses are pass fail at the middle school level. And so, very low stakes, and to provide additional opportunities for our students.
And we have another question in there was, how do you find the resources to come in? And that's something that Ashley at the middle school has been working on. They have a team of teachers, and they, I believe you have a name for your group.
We went super creative. We're the College and Career Committee. And so, maybe next year we'll have something, more exciting. But this year was year one. So, we went basic with it. But, we've had lots of our teachers reaching out to, people that they know, and reaching out to local businesses. And our counselor works with directly a lot. We did steal her from the high school. So she was very familiar with this process at the high school. So now she's able to help us here at the middle school. But she had a lot of connections with our community as well, being able to, link up students with places that would take a 14-year-old that, you know, with a work permit to come and work. So that's really great too. But, you know, lots of connections. Like I have a friend who works for Amazon Air. So she came to talk to our business class about logistics. And then our assistant principal, her husband is a chef. So he's going to come and talk to our hospitality and tourism group. But really we've been very lucky and fortunate to have lots of connections homegrown from our school building, from our teachers, from our families. So we've been really tapping into those, but a lot of it too is like our committee cold calling places and saying, would you be interested in helping support this endeavor? And they're like, yep, let's do it. So a little bit of a mixture of both, but we've had lots of good relationships with people that we have, and then also just making new ones.
And one of the things I will highlight is how creative that committee has been at Elm Middle School about, you know, Chicago was shut down for a while, vaccination status and things like that. So we could not take a lot of those field trips in person like we would have liked to, or gone to all these places. But to have that connection where we have speakers come in, or they're sending us stuff and we can do things virtually, I think is an amazing opportunity, because we don't want kids to feel like they've been cheated, right? Pandemic, we know, you know, lots of people struggle during that time. So how can we make this process still engaging by doing all of these other creative opportunities?
There was another question about specific platforms and research. We do use, you know, during our course selection process, we give all of the students the Illinois Career Interest Survey. So all of our students take that, and then we get that data back, and then that's how we choose what courses we are going to run based on the students. And then we also do have a homegrown, it's a Google form, but it was created by all of our guidance counselors district-wide. And we do give that to the students as well as kind of a dual, just to back up the data that is collected from both, so we can make sure that we are running the courses our students are interested in.
There was a question too about tracking what students are going through the different types of work-based learning experiences. If you all kind of track that, and we have like 2 more minutes and then we'll kind of transition to the next speaker, but keep putting the questions in there and the resources and best practices. I love it.
Yeah, so, you know, we have certain classes that we are having those work-based learning experiences. And our goal by the end of the year is to have every student participate in at least one. So we've been getting really creative, like with the chopping block. That experience is going to be for business, hospitality, and tourism. So, and entrepreneurship. So really trying to make sure that every student is able to experience at least one of those opportunities before the end of the year. And then next year getting, you know, creative with how that works as well, considering as this is the first year where at the middle school level, you know, we aren't doing like full grade level field trips. This is just specific kids are going to take part in these experiences. So we're getting our feet wet in that too, and getting teachers used to, okay, you're only going to have these 10 kids today because the other 10 are going to be on an experience. So getting creative with that, but definitely our priority is to have every student participate in one of these experiences this year.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all. And I saw too one more note about your park district engagement. I don't know if you want to share that or.
Yeah, so Ms. Garay, actually, so we also host summer camp here at Elm Middle School. So we have a really great connection with the staff from the park district. So, you know, we reached out to them and we had said, you know, we have some students that are interested. Would you be interested in partnering with us? And they said, yes, absolutely. So it really was just a simple phone call. And I guess Dr. G, Dr. O, I mean, and all of our communities are so wonderful. But Elmwood Park is always very supportive of the schools. And, you know, when we call and say, hey, what do you think about this? They're like, yep, let's do it. So this will be the first year that we're doing something like this. So more to report back after this summer.
Thank you again all for sharing your best practices, your insights, things that you're doing new, things that you're enhancing, how you're even thinking forward. I hear often that high school is too late to start career exploration and career awareness, right? So how you're building that into the middle school. I mean, as young as 4 years old, my daughter knows what she wants. She doesn't want to get married and she wants to be an artist. And that sounds like a pretty cool life, right? So it does start early. And as you're making it student-centered, I really love that too, right? So yes, we're offering these courses because we can, but are we actually spending a lot of effort on something that students aren't even wanting to access, right? Because it takes a lot for that teacher to even run the course, right? So just appreciate you all for sharing that. And please feel free to, again, if you all have additional questions, put those in the chat. I'm sure our presenters here from Elm can respond to those. But I will turn it over here and get my screen back up to Terry, who's going to talk us through a career development experience. Again, moving along that continuum and more of that kind of internship type experience. But thanks again to all of our presenters from Elm.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Terry Stroh. I am the EFE director out here in Northern Kane County. I got to say that's a tough act to follow there with such a great group and a great program that they've put together there. So for ours, we really focus on a couple different things. Starting with looking at our data that we received from last year. And we noticed that two of our areas that we were working on for our region was our post-secondary credits and our work-based learning. So we really wanted to focus on that. We've done a lot of work with our local community college. I know Ed Systems has been a partner in all of that work and trying to work on our dual credit for that. But then the other big piece was our work-based learning. And what we've come to find out is a couple different things. If you want to go on to the next slide there, Heather, thank you. We broke it down for all the 11 high schools that we have in the region and really saw what I had heard from students back when I was in the building. And that was really that an unpaid internship was really a deterrent for them, that they weren't willing to leave a paid job, that their part-time job they currently had, to go and take an unpaid internship, no matter how they saw the benefit or what they saw the benefit to be of doing that internship. So we really, we also looked at the data and saw there was a really a defined line between haves and have-nots across our region, with a lot of our lower socioeconomic schools having lower numbers of students involved in work-based learning. And this had a lot to do with, parents that already had connections or people that were getting, student spots out there in the community. So we've really used a lot of this data to really drive this work. And our grant is being used to provide paid positions for students in those lower socioeconomic schools. Let's see if you want to go on to the next one there. So as we talked about, not wanting to leave their part-time jobs to go and take that unpaid internship was a big thing. And I've used this now to drive conversations with our manufacturers and with our business people out there. And the fact that, how do we offer paid positions and how do we do these things? Our money is going to be used as a reimbursement to companies as an internship hosting fee. So if they're willing to take students in and pay them for that short-term experience, then we're going to go ahead and reimburse them the money out of that grant. Exciting news. I just got a call yesterday. We have 14 slots with our local early childhood partners for students in our early childhood program that they're going to be able to go out and work with the park districts over the summer here for paid positions. So really exciting news for that. And it's now helped us spark other partners to find other grants to help continue to pay those students even after our money runs out. If you want to go on to the next slide. So a two-tiered approach here, that we had, we really had some of our classes had work-based learning built into them, whereas others of our programs did not have any work-based learning at all. So we've really had to go out and find and build through all of this. Right now for our stuff that's built into our curriculum, automotive, our students a lot of times have teachers bring their cars in, that they're working on teachers' cars. The culinary, they're running restaurants within our schools and providing catering for different events within the schools. The biggest one is business incubator, where students are actually, they're acting as entrepreneurs, coming up with their own business model, for those who are unaware or unfamiliar with that program. And then our big one, veterinary science. So our veterinary assistant program, students have to get 100 hours out at a veterinary office or an animal hospital in order to sit for their veterinary assistant exam at the end of that class period, or the end of the 3-year program there. We do 50 hours during the spring of their junior year and 50 hours during the fall of their senior year for that combined 100 hours of time there. What we were learning, though, is that if students wanted to get out and be beyond that, that we had to try to find business partners that were willing to take students on either during the school day, if they had early release, or during maybe a second shift. What we've done here, automotive dealers, I had one automotive dealer that said, great, we'll take 10 kids right now. And they said, we want 5 kids from 7 in the morning until noon and 5 from 1 o'clock until 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And I said, that's great. Unfortunately, the school system doesn't really work like that, with their schedules. So trying to work around a lot of that. One of the big things we did do for that one there is we used some other grant money to purchase sets of tools for those students to use in their automotive dealerships or in automotive businesses, rather than having to borrow another mechanic's tools. Now they're feeling like part of the team. We developed that list with one of our partners who said, here are the tools that students would need to do the basic jobs that we would ask them to do, and work from there. Like I said before, this is really driven into now conversations about how can they find money within their own budgets to pay students for those internships. I saw one question that came up in the chat there. So yeah, we're trying to get them paid for by their insurance or by the company directly, because now they're covered. And this is when we're actually having a session that I worked with some other business partners on. We're having the Department of Labor come out and talk about what the liability looks like. So that way they're covered in that. If they're an employee of the business, now they'll be covered. Also, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that if students are doing a job as part of a pathway or a part of a career development program at their school, the school's liability insurance will also cover them while they're on site there doing that if they're getting class credit for those. So we've really been pushing for our school districts here to offer that dual credit piece there, or offer that internship class at the level 5 class. So that way we can show that they are getting credit for that class and building off of that. If you want to go to the next slide there for me. We really had to work out, like, how do we structure this system? And we're still working out a lot of these parts. Because of COVID, we were really limited in getting students out to a lot of sites for a lot of things, or, we weren't working as much with that. So now we got a couple different documents there that you can take a look at. If you want to click on structure, there you go, structure the system. So this was really working within our business partners. If you want to scroll all the way to the bottom, we can start there. Thank you. So developing that list of which businesses that were out there and available and were willing to work with us. We've gone from roughly 30 or so partners for just veterinary science about 2 years ago to now we have over 200 different business partners that are willing to work with us on different aspects. It can be anywhere from just coming and guest speaking to actually having students go out and work on some stuff there. So we're excited that I have 70, I mentioned the 14 students for early childhood. We have another 78 for engineering out of one school. And I think I have another 50 or so at another school for engineering that we're working on finding those business partnerships. What we found is that they were running these internship programs, but students weren't getting the class credit. There wasn't a summer school course that students were also enrolled in to get them that internship credit. So you had students working pretty much the whole month of June and an internship and getting the experience, but either getting paid or not getting paid, but then not getting any class credit. This has really helped hurt our data mark as far as work-based learning, because they needed to be enrolled in that internship class in order for us to get that work-based learning credit. But kind of going from that list of opportunities, letting teachers know, letting students and their families know, developing a regional application for those students to fill out. One of the big things we heard from businesses was that they wanted to see that students were definitely interested and that they were vetted before we were sending them out. Working through our administration, reviewing all of those. And then the big piece there was having the businesses involved in the interview process. So rather than us try to place students out in locations, we're going to have the businesses actually go ahead and start interviewing those students to give them the experience of interviewing, but also to see where the best connections are at for our students. So that way there's a good connection between the student and the business to make that a really enjoyable experience there. If you want to go back there to the slides, the timeline, you can click on that one. So we're trying right now, we didn't get into it this year as much. Like I said, we focused really on the summer piece there with COVID. And that our timeline for next year that we're going to work on is having students sign up for these opportunities when they sign up for classes in the fall. So that way we're already planning a year out with that program with those students. And this gets back to that block here of the January through May, with going ahead and having some employability skills training for those students prior to them going out. What are the kind of the do's and the don'ts of being in a workplace environment? We've had some people tell us that students come in and think they know it all, and they try, really jumping way ahead. But we've had other students who are kind of timid and kind of set back and trying to jump in there and get some things done. So trying to work with them on balancing that out and getting some experience. And this is working with our business partners as well to have them come in and do some of these sessions with our students with that in mind. We're going to look to use, because it's across the 11 high schools, we're going to try to use this as a webinar or an online class session to where students can also participate at the same time across those high schools. And then that just goes into the placements there, but you can kind of, we've presented this to our admin council, our admin group that we have that I work with across the districts. And we're now starting to put that money or that piece in place there with all of that. If you want to go to the next slide, other things we've done with our grant money to kind of bolster our work-based learning. Our CNA program students in our lower socioeconomic schools had to purchase their own scrubs and that was really a setback for a lot of students if they had to purchase their own materials. So we've really gone ahead and used grant money to purchase sets of scrubs for our CNA program. And these were all embroidered with the district and the name of the program on them. So that way we're also advertising or marketing our programs while students are out there for that. I mentioned that we purchased sets of tools for automotive students to use there. We went out and we did tours of different high school classes to talk to them about the opportunities we have available and start to build interest there. And then we're offering training for our counselors on the program. So one of the things we did just about a month ago is we had counselors that went out and visited classrooms for manufacturing, automotive, engineering. And then we actually took them out to business partners in the community to see what that looks like in the community, what those jobs look like, what are the job skills that are available, so they could see a direct connection between the skills we were teaching in class and what they were receiving out there on the job site. We're doing another one with another district coming up here on actually next Monday to where we're visiting classrooms and lab spaces again, and then taking that group of counselors out to a couple of their businesses locally to let them see what that is like. The feedback we've gotten from counselors so far is it's been amazing for them to see what actually goes on in some of these businesses to have a better understanding. What we found is that many times our counselors, they were high school students. They went out of college to get their degree in teaching or in school counseling, and they haven't seen it or experienced what some of these businesses really do. So it's been beneficial for them to see what they do and also to hear about what are the wages and the salaries that are available in some of these career areas so they can really start to have better conversations with our students through that. Like I said, we have a number of students set up now for the summertime here for the month of June to spend our money down on. We did, if you want to go to the next slide, we did come up with a backup plan in case we weren't able to get things going or COVID kind of held us back a little more. We're going to work on developing these for next year, though, with doing a regional CTE night to where we're highlighting all the great things that our students are working on across the region and some of the ideas that we have there with all of that. I would say if any of your districts have the business incubator class that they run, get a chance to go out and see their pitch night. It's kind of like a live version of Shark Tank. And it's really awesome to see just how amazing our students are with the ideas they come up with for businesses and how they've put some things in place across the area. I know I answered a couple questions there as we were going through things, but if you have any other questions, be happy to answer those and talk some more about things and go from there. Thanks for being here again today.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate the work you're doing. Excited to hear how it goes this summer,
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge to get all those out and having community partners, either having a community partner that's willing to be that internship host and paying them or paying the business directly. We're really working on a lot of those pieces, like somebody mentioned with the insurance and covering, make sure that students are covered with what they do. And then the other big piece, like I said, is, really getting just the opportunities out there and getting to where the kids are getting the credit for the class as well. What we found in this process is that we had a lot of teachers in different areas, manufacturing, automotive, who were getting students jobs, but they weren't getting the credit for they weren't getting credit for an internship class. And the teacher goes, well, but they don't need the internship class. They don't need the credit. They're going to graduate. Everything is fine. But really showing and educating the teachers now on the benefits of them being involved in that internship class and how we can continue to support students through that process. Let's see. Michael asked what areas we're planning to expand into the future. Really, we've got automotive, manufacturing, the CNA, we really need to expand in that regionally some more. Education's another big one that we're expanding on regionally with offering that as a regional program coming up here in the 23-24 school year. The reason we held off on offering education until 23-24 school year is we were able to get dual credit approved with our local community college, or we're in the process of getting the final approval there, to where students will earn, I think, 6 credit hours of dual credit as part of that pathway, and continue to lead that up. We have a 2+2 program with our local community college and Northern Illinois. So having students with those credits can help get them moving through that process a little bit faster. Neil asked about recruiting their own business partners. We've been trying to do this more as a localized regional approach with business partners. What we found is that certain teachers had, different contacts with different people, but they would only call some of those contacts when they wanted something. So it was kind of turning some of our business partners off. We've also looked at trying to run regional advisory boards. So instead of every school in the area, we don't have a super huge area, but having 11 different high schools or 10 high schools out of the 11 who have automotive all call the same people for an automotive advisory board was getting to be kind of monotonous for them, and they couldn't always make it out to those events. So trying to hold a regional advisory board with that, in place. Other question I saw, parent meetings. Yeah, before COVID, we had a springtime meeting where, you could have parents coming out and view those programs. We're going to try to tie this in with each district's or each school's open house night, to where if parents wanted to go out and see a program, they were able to then go out and see that program before their students sign up. Depending on the high schools that you were able to, one high school district, you had to register for a pathway, and you had to actually transfer schools to another high school to be in part of the veterinary science program. With that, others were, kids were coming in from all over the area with that. But parents are going to be able to start coming back out. We held a couple different parent nights this year. We held a freshman curriculum to career showcase. We saw that there was a gap between the middle school discussions and the offerings and telling kids what was out there and available, to where most of our programs start their sophomore year within our districts. So there was that kind of gap year where we lost some students there. So we started running the freshman curriculum to career showcase with that, and trying to show parents what are the pathways, but then also explaining to parents the difficulty of, with all the mandates that are out there and all the classes students have to take, that it really doesn't leave a lot of flexibility. If you were to fail a course or have a mistake in a course and you had to retake it later on, how is that going to affect? Also going and trying to work with the counselors on this as well, to get them understanding what if a good 4-year plan would be like, and leaving space, building that 4-year plan to leave space at the end, where if a student wanted to go out and have a true work-based learning experience during the school day, that they would have time in their schedules to do just that. So there's been lots of different moving parts we've had working with the 4 different school districts and the 11 different high schools.
Yeah, something sitting with me from what you shared, Terry, and this equity first idea was students, and we saw this happen a lot, right, over the summers, is they don't want to leave their part-time job for an unpaid experience, right? So we might be all but you're going to gain these skills and you're going to build social capital. And they're like, yeah, but I need to get paid, right? And so there's this push too, as you're talking to employers, right, is they might want to build their pipeline or support more. It's well, then we need you to pay, right? If you want students to come to your site, there's going to have to be some sort of competitive advantage, right, of doing that and potentially leaving or taking a break from one of their part-time jobs. So just appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest pieces we've used to really talk with business partners about, especially in a lot of the trades and manufacturing, is that they've continued to do the same approach when trying to hire new employees, but showing them that we're trying to build a pipeline to where if we can get them in the classroom being guest speakers, they can get to know students, they can get to know what the skill sets are they have, and really start recruiting students from a younger age rather than waiting until they're already out of high school, trying to show them the opportunities that are out there. And one of the last big pieces I'll share is that we're looking to run summer CTE camps for our students. I know one of my districts is running it this summer. We're trying to get a couple others to run some things, but having them be paid for through grant money if possible, or free for our students with that in mind, in order to give students those opportunities. Because with the equity piece in mind, if students have never had exposure to many of these career areas, they have no idea that they're out there or that they're available or what they're about. So if we can give them an opportunity, I think I talked to one of my districts yesterday. I think they had like 15 or 16 students sign up for welding for this summer. So to put a welding torch in a middle school student's hands and let them kind of see what the experience is there and what are the opportunities, or manufacturing or automotive or culinary, just some overall great opportunities to expand their horizons on some things and show them what's available.
Thank you so much, Terry. Appreciate all the work that you're doing. And, again, to the pay piece, right? As soon as you don't pay for an internship, you cut who can actually participate in your internship, right? For the employer, it already limits their pool of people who might be interested, right? So kind of thinking about those components too. And the welding piece, I was working with a community with their culinary program, and they're like, wait, we're going to have like a whole bunch of students in a room with knives in their hand. Like, what does that look like, right? So work-based learning, always fun things. But I do want to share kind of in this last couple of minutes here. And again, back to that piece about the showcase for the different pilots. I'm going to put this link in the chat. It's in the presentation as well. So IWIN is a statewide network. There's no application or fee or anything to join. It's very much just there to be a space where we bring communities together throughout the state. We tend to meet bi-monthly, right? This year, our engagements have been really focused on the work-based learning continuum specific to an industry area. So you can see some of these past recordings are in manufacturing, education, health sciences. I see some of our presenters who have been on there in this room here today, but they take you along the whole continuum of experiences, from career awareness to career development experiences. So lots and lots of different engagements here, even from our first launch. I see some of those presenters on here as well, which is always fun. You can click in here, you can watch that recording, download the presentations, but beyond that as well, there's a team-based challenge resource bank. So again, kind of organized by those different endorsement career areas, with some ideas, some different templates and pieces like that. But then also some of these fundamentals, these state resources, referred to that dictionary earlier, some of those competencies that have been referred to, even for the career development experience, there's a whole toolkit there for you. It's a large, long PDF document, or it's a website, right? So I defer to the actual website, but there's lots of templates and resources and things on there. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can download those Word documents and build your host profile or build your manual for students, your guidebook for the experience. I like to call that my memoir of running a high school internship program back in the, like 3 years ago now. And just lots of different resources, related webinars. But you can put your name in the chat if you want me to make sure you're signed up for IWIN, but there's a space on the site as well to sign up to the newsletter and make sure that you stay in touch on those pieces. So being invited to the ISBE Pilot Showcase, being invited to our other communities of practice where communities share, but lots and lots of great things through there. IWIN's probably one of my favorite things I do here with Ed System. So again, appreciate you all for being here today. I'll hang on a moment if there's any other questions. Otherwise, thank you all again and enjoy the rest of the conference.